Itch it up, my selector.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
I know you gonna dig this.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Happy Saturday. This is Sucker Punch. First hour of 2 hours. We're going to talk about the fight taking place in the UK tomorrow on a Sunday, Eastern Sunday. That's going to be our first hour. And hour number 2, we're going to be talking about a big fight taking place in the UK next week between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Now, Joe, I'm going to be honest. I don't think I can name a single fight on the undercard of the fight we're going to talk about today. I'll look into it right as we start here with the show because I think most of the interest is on the main event. We're talking, of course, about Liam Cameron getting his second crack at Benn Whittaker. The first fight ended quite controversially. We're going to get into that. We got the highlights ready to roll over here. Look, it ended controversially. The people have their thoughts on how the first fight went. We're talking about a British Olympian. We're talking about a guy who many people touted and ranked really highly. I'm going to be honest. I never really thought he was up there with the likes of David Morrell Jr. or David Benavidez or people in his age category up and around 175 pounds, but there were others who did. I'm talking about Benn Whittaker, of course. And it all came to a head in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia last year. Before we get to the highlights of what actually happened, Joe, talk to me about this fight. Go for it.
Yeah, I expected much more from Whittaker going into the fight. I was surprised by Cameron. I didn't expect him to do as well as he did. But one thing that was evident was Liam Cameron was a bit unorthodox. He had this right hand that he was throwing. It was kind of like a choppy sidearm type punch, and he was throwing it like this, coming at like almost like a hatchet. You know what I mean? And it reminded me of when you looked at fighters like when Vernon Forrest fought
Ricardo Mayorga.
Ricardo Mayorga. You look at guys. Who's another unorthodox guy?
Marcos Maidana, Chino
Marcos
Maidana.
Maidana is another one. Those are the two guys that popped into my head. When
heavy-handed, a little bit kind of brutish, forceful with their technique.
Yeah, so a guy like Mayorga when he fought Vernon Forrest, and going in, you thought Vernon Forrest was the more athletic, the more technically sound guy, just had all the advantages, and for whatever reason, the unorthodox style of Mayorga caused him problems, and ultimately he lost 2 fights. Very similar to what Floyd, even though Floyd won both the fights, they were very difficult for Floyd, and you would think that they would have been one-sided in his favor, but they weren't because of that unorthodox fighting style of Marcos Maidana, throwing those weird type, very unconventional punches. So Cameron was similar to that with Whittaker. I think Whittaker had a hard time just dealing with that and being able to defend against some of those unorthodox punches, and particularly up close when Cameron was getting in his chest, he was shortening up those shots on the inside, ripping to the body, throwing those short uppercuts up close. And I really think as the fight wore on, you saw Whittaker become more and more uncomfortable, right? More and more uncomfortable. And it was definitely turning in Cameron's favor. And then, what happened in that fifth round. And it was kind of weird. And I know a lot of people mentioned this as well. Why did they even ring the bell for round 6 and everyone had to score round 6 10-10? That was kind of stupid, I thought, right? Why didn't they just
Yeah,
stop
that
it?
didn't make much sense.
Yeah, why did you even ring the bell for round 6? But nevertheless,
Well, that's a whole. I mean, it is interesting if we talk about the Saudi Commission, because I was listening to an interview on Talksport with the head of the British Boxing Board of Control, who I was actually surprised to hear him say that he doesn't really want to be running the Saudi Commission over there, but they keep asking him to do it longer than was anticipated because they're not ready yet. So this was under the auspices of the British Boxing Board of Control. I don't know what their rules are.
yeah,
They might be slightly different than what we're used to here in
yeah.
America.
But yeah. So I think the fight was turning. Whittaker, as the broadcast team mentioned, he looked very uncomfortable in the fight as the fight was going on later in the rounds, and also too, I think 4, 5, and 4 and 5 were clear rounds for Cameron. Round 1 was probably a clear round for Whittaker, but rounds 2 and 3 were very close. I gave Cameron round 3, so round 2 you could even make an argument that Cameron won too. So could you have a draw in this fight? Could you give Whittaker rounds 1, 2, and 3? Possibly. But also, could you give Cameron rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5? Yeah. So I don't see a way Whittaker could have been up on the scorecards in this fight. I know one judge had him up. But yeah, I think a draw was not impossible, but most people do believe that Cameron won this fight. And like I said, I had Cameron up 3-2. I gave Whittaker the first 2 rounds, and I thought Cameron won rounds 3, 4, and 5. So yeah, it was interesting. So I'm gonna pick Cameron in the rematch, but it's interesting when you look at the odds. Let's pull up the odds real quick because
Actually, before we do that, Joe, we got to do it right. Here we go. Now you may proceed.
Yeah, so Ben Whittaker's a minus 285 and Liam Cameron's a plus 225. So the odds are telling us that they believe the first fight was a fluke, and they're heavily favoring here Whittaker at almost being a 3-1 favorite. So after a performance like that, you would think that the odds would be closer, but the way they're interpreting this, at least to me, is they thought that Whittaker had an off night, and Cameron fought outside of himself, and they don't see that happening again in the rematch.
Was it a fluke, or was it a guy who was stepping up in competition really for the very first time? Because you look at his box rec, and of course I'm talking about Ben Whittaker. And you look at who he was fighting before the Liam Cameron fight. Let's have a look at this right here before we show the little highlights of the fight, right? So 27 years old, like I said, right around the same age as David Benavidez and David Morrell, who are also in the weight class with them, right? The surgeon, 6'3". Before Liam Cameron, he fought Eroritse Ezra Erinyeka, 10-round unanimous decision. Before that, Leon Willings, 8 rounds. Before that, Khalid Graida, who actually had more losses than he had wins. TKO in 5. Before that, Steven Leonetti Dredja. Never heard of that guy. A 4-round TKO. Vladimir Bulitsky, 13-6. Jordan Grant, 6-3. Petar Nosic and Greg O'Neill. So again, was this a case of a fluke, or was it a guy kind of stepping up in competition for the first time? I think it's I'd actually go closer to it was a guy stepping up in competition for the first time. What about you, Joe?
I agree with that. I haven't been overly high on Ben Whittaker over the years. I didn't understand the hype around him. I mean, I again, a lot of that.
Is it that hard to show off against guys of that level that we just? I mean, when you're an Olympian.
Yeah, and in this fight, he did none of that. And that tells you right then and there that he knew that this was a tough, challenging fight for him. So
that was always my issue with Ben Whittaker. I mean, look, I grew up a fan of Prince Naseem Hamed. I remember just, these electrifying performances, the ring walks, the dancing, the braggadocious interviews. I was a fan of all of that, as any kid in middle school and high school probably would have been who was a fan of boxing. But this is the difference. Prince Naseem Hamed was doing that in world title fights. Prince Naseem Hamed was doing that in like European and British level. So he was doing it at every step up.
World level too.
That's right. Yeah, I started actually. I should have gone in reverse. I started in reverse order. I should have started with British and then European and then world level. He was doing this at every level against high level guys. Ben Whittaker was doing this against guys who weren't even area level or national level out there in the UK. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. These are the final scenes of the very first fight. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. Here we go.
Good great work from Cameron here, though.
Boy, we're learning a lot about Whittaker here, and it's not good stuff.
Here with Todd Grisham's. And people don't like Todd Grisham, but I'll tell you, every now and again, he drops some good lines. We're learning a lot about Ben Whittaker here, and it's not good stuff.
No, that's funny.
Here we go.
That we're being educated about. He's getting hit by a much slower fighter. And wait a minute! They've gone Royal Rumble WWE style.
So, was it the neck? Was it the shoulder? Was it the knees? Was it the toes, Joe? Apparently, it was all hurting after this happened, and the fight was ended.
Yeah. Was there ever a specific injury that was reported after this fight?
Well, I was hearing it all. I was hearing ankle. I was hearing neck. I was hearing I was
back, ankle, back.
Right. I mean, you look at the final sequence there. You're a grown man. I'm a grown man. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's going to be very difficult for anyone, even someone my size, to just do that to me. I find it. People are hedging the fence on this one. I'm gonna just say it. I think he allowed this to happen. I think he allowed the incident to occur. I think that the decision to go over the ropes like that was a willing decision. I'm just gonna say it. It's very difficult to push someone over like that without some level of complicity. In my humble opinion.
So you think he was sneaking out the back door a little bit?
Let's have a look. Was it all the way Kermit Cintron? No, clearly. But look, for you to go over like this, you're gonna look. It just looks to me like he just fell backwards there on his own volition. Like that. That's not easy to do to a grown man, let alone an athlete, let alone a boxer. Really? It looked like, oh, yeah, here we go. I'm just going to go. That's how it looked to me. Now, I wasn't there, so I'm never going to know with 100% certainty. But I look at that, Joe, and it just doesn't look like there was just that much resistance there. Let's have a look again. Body shot goes in. I mean, maybe it was the body shot that was hurting him still. I don't know. But he's holding on to him here. Look at the legs. I mean, that just seems too easy, bro.
Do you think Little Penny is that?
That's it. You want to bring Little Penny in? Let's bring Little Penny in. Little Penny, what are your thoughts? Am I being fair here, or am I being unfair?
Do you ever spar before Little Penny and that happened to you?
Hey, but good on him to take the rematch though, because
let's not gloss over what just happened over here, though, please.
Yeah, that's embarrassing,
right? I mean, it's not. I mean, look, we're men. At one point, we were boys, so it doesn't even have to be you being in a boxing ring. I'm sure you've had your experience roughhousing, right? Would you just Joe Habib in the 5th grade? You're out there at recess. Some guy's just gonna push you over like that? Too easy. Too easy. In my humble opinion, I just thought, and then
you remember
where exactly did where and how did the broken ankle happen? That's what I'm looking at.
You remember that?
You gotta keep your eyes on the feet.
You remember that fight?
Where'd the broken ankle happen?
You remember that fight with Bernard Hopkins and Robert Allen when Mills Lane was separating them? Mills Lane weighed like
Bernard did that on purpose.
Yeah, Bernard, Mills Lane weighs like 130 pounds. He's like 5'6", 5'7", weighs 130 pounds, and he goes like this, and then Bernard Hopkins goes flying out of the ring. Like, can a 130-pound guy like that, who's in his 60s, throw you out of the ring like that?
Hey Joe, do you know he was a judge?
I did. Judge? Yes, I did.
Yeah, he had a show here, Judge Mills Lane.
Yeah, he was in the Marines.
It was like a Judge Judy type show.
He was in the Marines too, yeah.
So
didn't his son manage Zhang? Zilly Zhang?
Yeah.
Yeah, his son's like a boxing manager.
Really nice guy.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. Rocky Austin says the only reason why people pay attention to Benn is because of his bozo personality. He is the Blair Cobbs of UK. LOL. Yeah. Rocky, I can't disagree with you. The funny thing is, I actually met Benn Whittaker. He was visiting New York City. I was there meeting up with Sugar Hill Stewart, and at the time he was training with Sugar Hill Stewart, and he was with Sugar, and very nice guy in person. The guy we see in the ring is very different than the guy I met on that particular spring day in Manhattan, but I just can't lie about what I'm seeing here in front of me and what I saw when the fight happened live. I saw a guy go over on his own volition. Now, does that mean he intended for the fight to be over? Does that mean that he didn't get an ankle injury or a head, shoulder, knees, and toes? I forget which one it was. Lil Penny, what was it? Head, shoulder, knees, or toes?
Looks like he said it was ankle, but it didn't look like he did his ankle because he toppled over.
I just don't see enough force there to break the ankle. Like, think about it like this: you're watching a basketball game, right? And a guy goes up for a rebound, and one of his feet lands on another guy's foot, and the ankle goes, right?
Yep.
We've seen that happen. You know what the difference is there? All of the force is on the ankle. All of the force is on that joint. That's not what happened here in this clip. In fact, it looked like his feet were the last to hit the floor. Let's have a look here. First it's his kind of neck and back. Look at where his ankle is. How do you break your ankle landing like this? And then ankle drops here. Nah, there's no ankle break on that. There's no ankle break.
But Maestro, he's giving him a rematch, so Benn must be pretty
giving him a rematch, or was public sentiment forcing him into this rematch?
Oh, he's only had 6 fights. He can pretty much do whatever he wants at this point of his career. But for him to give him a rematch, he must be pretty confident. Oh, see, I like that British mentality.
Really
Same thing with,
confident. If he's that confident, why aren't they going for the 12 rounds that was in the contract? Have you been following that side of the story?
No, I haven't. Just
Joe,
10
you want
now,
to
is
fill a
it?
little penny on what's been happening with the
But
10
it's
round
not a
versus 12
championship
round?
fight, though.
Because this is quite an interesting subplot here.
But
Yeah,
it's
they
not a
said-
championship fight, though, isn't it, Maestro?
Go for it, Joe.
But they sent over the original contracts, and Ben Whittaker signed it, and it said 12 rounds on the contract. And then they said, "Oh well, we didn't want a 12 round fight. We wanted a 10 round fight. That's a mistake." So then they changed. Then they were trying to change the rounds, and ultimately they ended up changing the rounds because I believe they paid Lee and Cameron more money. How much more money did they pay him? I'm not aware of that, but it was confirmed that they did pay him more money. So I don't know why do you need the rounds to be 10? Why do you not feel confident enough to fight in a 12 round fight? That's a big red flag in my opinion.
Your thoughts, Lil Penny.
Fight's still happening, so I don't care if it's 12.
No, you're running a lot of interference for Ben Whittaker.
I think we found a huge Ben Whittaker fan.
I mean,
No, actually,
I'm glad we have a
seeing a lot of
Ben
blind
Whittaker fan
I'm
here
seeing
to
a lot
kind
of
of even
blind
things
spots.
out.
I'm seeing a lot of blind spots.
No, I'm just saying, like, just to his defense. But I don't like his style, though. I feel like he's hiding something. You know when you show off like that and you duck and weave, and I don't know. I feel like you're showing off something.
It's a distraction.
Or you're hiding something that you're scared of.
It's almost
That's why
a
you do it.
distraction. It's like a distraction.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of in a fight or in a spar where a guy gets hit and he shakes it off, he acts like nothing happened, or he starts laughing or smiling, or or even a guy is struggling a little bit and you'll see him resort to kind of showboating kind of tactics, right? I saw that a little bit actually with David Morrell against David Benavidez. There were moments in the fight where things were going a little bit tough for David Morrell, and he'd start kind of showboating a little bit, right? But here's the thing. He's doing that against very low-level opposition, Ben Whittaker, right? Guys who literally have no hope of winning or winning titles or doing anything really substantive in the sport, and he's doing it when he's kind of winning in those fights. So I don't know if it's masking something, if it's trying to get on social media, which he was successful at. I had people texting me about Ben Whittaker that don't even watch boxing. People I went to high school with or whatever, because they know that I'm big on boxing, and it came up in their social media feed. So from that aspect, it did kind of work. But let's have a listen to what these guys said at the final press conference yesterday. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. Here's Liam Cameron. Let's go.
How confident are you in everything that you've said and everything that you've predicted?
I've wished for this. I keep saying, as a 9-year-old kid, I bought my first boxing news. I might have been 8-year-old. And I dreamed for these moments. And how can I complain? I'm here. I'm ready. I'm in a lot better shape. So may the best man win. There's no hard feelings on anything I've said or done. So let the games begin in the ring now.
In terms of mentality, I'm interested. First time round, I think there was less pressure on you. There was, in a number of ways, I don't want to be disrespectful, but the Ben Whittaker show rolled into town in Saudi Arabia. There was a lot of eyes on the phenomenon and the social media numbers and everything like that. And maybe you came out the shadows a little bit. Now you're in the bright lights and there is a degree of expectation on you. Yeah. How you're coping with that this time round?
I've got off for Britain. I'm not, obviously Ben's got his supporters, but I've got way more supporters what want me to do the job. I've won lottery. I've absolutely won the lottery. It's been mad. I'm just buzzing. I'm absolutely ecstatic. Big word for me, but...
Do you feel, you gave us a line yesterday, that by getting the fight over 10 rounds, that's a 1-0 win to you?
Yeah. They've paid me an absolute fortune to get it from a 12 round. I would have just said, if I were Ben, I'm fighting you 12, I'm going to psychologically edge that, because he could have called my bluff. I could have been wanting to do 10 all this time. But it is what it is. It's 10 rounds, 6 minutes less.
Do you think last time?
So he's getting paid more for fighting less. Lil Penny, I saw you have a chuckle at that. What are your thoughts? Go for it.
What's wrong with his teeth? Like, what is he like?
He got his teeth knocked out. Don't shame him, Lil
Let's
Penny.
not go. Let's not like.
Not everybody has your dental plan from your finance job, Lil Penny.
Let's not shift this to ad hominem. No one made fun of your hairline.
Not everybody has universal health care like you do down under, Lil Penny. Come on now.
That would be like someone coming on here and making fun of your hairline. We would never do that.
Yeah, no, my hair is receding. It's old age. But anyway, yeah, just looking back. So Ben doesn't want a. By the way, he is right. He has more fans than Ben Whittaker. I feel like if you're a British fighter and you act like a clown, I feel like it doesn't work in Britain. It might work in America, but not in Britain. Like, I feel like you lose fans. Like Fury, you know what I mean? Like, don't act like a clown. But anyway, just going back to the topic. So if he doesn't want a 10-round fight, it means that he doesn't have stamina, or maybe he's got stamina issues, or maybe
Liam Cameron actually. Here's what happened. They sent out a bout contract for 12 rounds. I can show you other videos if you guys want to see them, because this has been a big point of discussion on Talk Sport, especially out there in the UK. 12-round bout contract was sent out and signed. They then, according to Ben Shalom, realized that there was an administrative error, as he put it, a whoopsie on their part, where they had essentially copied and pasted a previous bout contract and just changed the names, not realizing that it was for 12 rounds instead of 10 rounds. So at that point, they had a signed contract for a 12-round fight. Now, apparently, Ben Whittaker, who someone in the chat called Ben Whittaker, I didn't call him Ben Whittaker. Rocky Austin called him Ben Whittaker.
Yeah, but you meant it, though.
But I didn't call him that. He called him that.
You want to say it, though. You want to say it.
I didn't call him that. He called him that.
I don't say it, though.
I don't call guys quitters. I don't say that.
I can see it in your body language. You want to say it. You want to say it.
He called him Ben Whittaker. I call him Ben Whittaker. But the point is,
here's a worse one. What if someone called him Ben Shittiker? No, I'm not saying that. I would do it. But what if someone? That would be another derogatory.
That would be very. That would be a derogatory.
I could see Little Penny saying something like that. Myself, never would I do it. Never.
No. But he did shit on his opponents a lot, actually, in the ring, which is why I think he's getting a lot of stick right now. Here's the thing: you give stick, you got to be able to take it, right? He's out there clowning dudes with losing records on national television in the UK. You know, you're gonna invite criticism when you're not able to do that the next level up, and that's kind of what's happened here. Anyways, so there's a 12-round contract signed, agreed to. Oopsies, it was an error, admin error. They're probably trying to blame their version of Lois, Joe, out there in the back office over there. The administrative person.
Only one Lois.
Right? They're blaming it on their version of Lois, right? And now they're in a situation, Lil Penny, where Ben Whittaker doesn't want to do 12 rounds. So what Liam Cameron was saying is, hey, I need more money if I'm going to do less rounds. And according to him, quote unquote, they paid him a fortune to go to fight 6 rounds less.
10 rounds all along.
I've never seen this. Somebody makes more money for fighting less rounds. So that does lead you to question why would they need to do that? Why would you need to go from 12 rounds to 10 rounds and pay more? Usually the way it works in boxing is you get paid more to do 6 than 4. Then you get paid more to do 8 than 6. Then you get more to do 10 than 8. Then you get paid more to do 12 than 10. That's how boxing works. This is the first time ever where why am I on small screen? Put me on big screen. This is the first time ever where I've heard somebody gets paid more money for fighting less. Joe Habib, you got to explain that to me. Go for it.
Imagine Little Penny walking into the office on Monday and saying, hey, man, we're cutting your hours down from 40 to 20. But guess what? $20,000 raise. In what world would that ever happen? Never, right?
Yeah, you know,
only in boxing. Only in boxing.
You're gonna teach less classes today, Amilcar. Here's your new schedule. You're gonna teach less classes, but we're gonna pay you more money. Like that doesn't work. We're reducing the number of school days this year, Milcar, and on top of it, we're gonna pay you $10,000 more a year. I've never heard of this.
It's in Japan. This is Japan. They're going from 5 days to 4 days now. Did you hear about that?
But are they paying their workers more for going 4 days? I doubt it.
I think it's the same.
Exactly. This is the first time I've ever seen you get an upgrade, you get a pay increase for doing less work. But yeah.
I'm going to talk to your supervisor, Maestro, see if I can get you a deal like that.
Yeah. So
you should be a professor, brother. You should be a professor, man.
Who, Joe?
At
I agree.
University, at New York University or something. NYU.
Yeah, I actually used to work for the City University of New York, actually. But I like working for at the high school.
Maestro's got several master's degrees, little Penny.
Yeah. So here I got something for you guys. Because why not listen to Big Frank, who, along with Bob Arum, is my favorite. Actually, it's a three-headed monster. I like Eddie. I like Bob. I like Frank. I actually like Mr. Honda too out there in Japan. So that's my Mount Rushmore of boxing promoters. Let's have a listen though to Big Frank Warren, Hall of Famer. Put some respect on his name. Discussing this whole thing. Here we go.
Well, it's the most ridiculous situation, and Liam's absolutely right. He signed for, as did Boxer, for a 12-round fight. They've had this has been going on since mid-February. All this nonsense that's going on. It's unprofessional. It's a lack of respect to Liam. It's also a lack of respect to Benn, because he's negotiated his side for a 10-round fight. So I've never known anything like this in my time in boxing. And initially when they started all this, they tried to cut Queensberry out of dealing direct with our fighter. They went to the manager and tried to withhold information from us. So they haven't acted professionally whatsoever. And as Lindy just said, Boxer claims it can amend contracts without Liam or Queensberry's consent, and they've even threatened to legal action and repeatedly repudiate the contract. We have...
Let's pause it right there, Joe, because I need you to chime in on that. Who is Boxer to try to change the terms of an agreement? Like, doesn't that kind of upend basic legal principles? We have a signed contract. We're just going to change it unilaterally without your consent or your involvement at all. That's essentially what Frank Warren was saying Ben Shalom was trying to do.
Yeah, and then if you knew that Frank was part of the event as well, and then you just tried to circumvent him, at least contract the manager and CC Frank on it at least. But it looked like they were trying to pull a fast one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Lil Penny, you want to chime in? Go for it.
Yeah, these amendment of contracts once they've signed. I think Andy Ruiz did this too on the rematch. The purse was already agreed to, but then when he won, he wanted more money, and then they amended the contract. Also, by the way, Frank Warren, I love the fact that he's got a lot of photos in the background, like he's got a lot of friends. Nah, dude, Frank Warren, you haven't got any friends, dude. But I love the way he portrays himself.
A lot of ad hominem. A lot of ad hominem. What's going on? Let me ask you this: did you get in a fight with your girlfriend before you jumped on? Just be honest. What's going on here? Too hostile. You're a little too hostile today. I'm not used to this. I'm a little rattled. By it, to be honest.
All right, let's go back to Big Frank. Here we go.
We have a signed contract, and that's the end of it.
Ben Shalom is in studio with it. This has all been one big ugly mess, Ben.
It's made for a big fight, I have to say, and hearing that a couple of weeks ago, we were asked what made it 10 rounds. We agreed to it. We felt it was done. It was done that long ago. A week later, what was asked for completely changed, and they went straight into the media. And we've had to deal with it since. As I said, for us, once we made that agreement, everyone was communicated. We told the board, we told Ben, we told the whole team, it's 10 rounds. What's happened since, as I said, they've enjoyed it, they've had fun with it, but it's still 10 rounds.
Frank and
of course.
I mean, they've enjoyed it, they've had fun with it. Joe, I got a question for you. You're an odds guy. You understand the principle of over under. When I started betting on sports, that was always my favorite thing: the over, the under. Right? Over under $100,000. Did Cameron get paid on this thing? Over under $100,000.
I would say probably about 100. So I would go. I'll just say over. Maybe
Chad,
100.
what do you think? You think Liam Cameron got paid over or under $100,000
maybe
for going from 12 rounds to 10 rounds? I got it. The way Ben seems very upset about this and saying that they agreed to one thing and then now they're demanding another thing. To me, it sounds like it was quite a hefty sum that they had to pay out. I'm going to go with over.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. Can I add one thing too, Maestro?
Go for it, of course.
Whenever you're trying to defend yourself and you end up settling and giving the other side something, I know everyone loves to say, oh, well, everyone, when I mean who does that, will love to say, oh, well, I did it because, like, for instance, if someone settled out of court with someone who was accused of something really egregious, oh, I did it for my family. I didn't want to put them through that. Or I just did it because I wanted to get through it. I didn't want to have to deal with all the negativity in the press, whatever the case may be. It is an admission of either guilt or being wrong, in my opinion. So if you were, steadfast in your position and you were adamant about your position, but you had to pay the other side and you had to settle and give something to the other side in order to get what you want, it's almost a way of making yourself look like, hey, I'm concerned about doing the 12. That's number one. Number two, I'm so concerned about it that I'm going to pay you a substantial amount of money, right? So it never, in my opinion, again, this is the way I always interpret it. When you settle and you give somebody something, I think it shows it's definitely a conciliatory move, in my opinion, and that's just how I interpret it.
You, Lil Penny, thoughts?
I'm gonna go with under. Under 100,000 because the fight purse for this fight is probably not a lot because it's not on pay-per-view, right?
No, it's a Sky show, and you got to think about it. Sky has an annual budget from Boxer has an annual budget from Sky that reportedly is in the multi-millions. How many shows are they actually putting on over there? I think this is like probably their first major show of the year. Like, who are their major fighters? It's Whittaker, it's Adam Azim, right? Or Adam Azim, I should say. It's who else do they have? Fabio Wardley, Frazier Clark, but that was out in Riyadh season.
I think Fabio Wardley's with Frank Warren now, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he is. He's been with Frank Warren. He used to he used to be on a lot of Matchroom shows, but he signed with Frank. But Frazier Clark is a boxer fighter. My point is,
is Coley a boxer guy now too?
Coley signed with Queensberry as well, and his fight this year was on Queensberry. So
yeah, so Whittaker's losing.
So I mean, you got to think that he's getting platformed here by Boxer by Sky, like he's their main guy.
Shalom's losing guys.
Oh, big time.
He's losing, and then what's her name just lost. Tasha Jonas just lost, and she's probably gonna. I think she's gonna retire. So that's
that was probably their biggest fight card up until this point, Joe. The Tasha Jonas card that was at Royal Alexandra Hall.
Who does he really have anymore? Like you said, he's losing a lot of fighters.
Aaron Daly's helping us out. He's added in a few that I forgot about: Callum Simpson and Joshua Buatsi. But yeah, Buatsi fought on Riyadh season, right?
He just lost too, yeah.
So the thing is, this is like prime time Sky boxing right now. So if they're going to be spending their budget, I'm assuming they're spending it on Ben Whittaker, Liam Cameron too. So they're definitely getting paid six figures for this fight, is what I'm trying to say. Joe, what do you think?
No doubt. No doubt it's a 6-figure fight. Someone just said that he's getting $140,000. I don't know. I don't know.
$140,000, I think, is what the guess is from Kate Walker for how much he's getting paid to go to 10 rounds. Because that's what I asked the chat. Here, let's continue.
Sorry,
Frank I'd never even spoken to about this deal. I could see him calling up and he's looking at his notes that have been prepared for him to say what and miss out this and don't say that and say this. It's like a TalkSport helpline where he...
Oh my God. Really? Really? He's accusing Frank Warren of all people of needing cheat sheets
and here's another thing.
to talk sport? Really?
Here's another thing too, bro. You're swimming in a pool with sharks. You got Eddie, you got Frank, you got Bob, you got all these big time people that have been in the business for a while. They have the experience. And every time you make a mistake, now this is clearly your fault, but you always play the victim. These guys are just bullying me because I'm the new kid on the block. Bro, again, no disrespect to you. I kind of like Ben Shalom. I don't have anything personal against him, but you've made a lot of mistakes and it's going to happen. But the worst thing you could ever do is not admit the mistakes. Eddie Hearn has come out several times and said, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said this. I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm learning. I've grown. But you need to have that quality if you're going to be successful, not only in this business, but any business, because if it's always somebody else's fault and never on you, then again, how are you going to ever grow, progress, and solve problems and become better if it's always someone else's fault?
We were talking about something similar, but not totally related to this before the show. And look, there's certain things, there's certain narratives that are going to fly in boxing. Promoters playing the victim ain't one of them. You're talking about a sport whose fan base is essentially hyper masculine for the most part.
There you go.
Right? They don't want to see grown men talking on microphones singing "Woe is me," and time after time from Ben Shalom, what we've been getting is, "Oh, I'm the victim. Oh, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn are bullying me. They're so mean to me.
They're taking advantage of me because I'm the new kid on the block.
I'm in boxing, but I'm the victim." Like, people are getting a little bit tired of it at this point. And if maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I know that I'm not a big fan of this.
I am too, and I hear a lot of people on Twitter. They're not too keen on this either.
Generation, he's a Gen Y, right? They're all like that.
Yeah.
He calls up you guys, and I can see what's going on.
Yeah, but did you send Cameron a contract?
See, he's the old head in the discussion, right? He's the Gen Xer, right? He's the guy saying, yeah, but I get all of the pity-patty, woe is me victimhood, but did you or did you not F up and send him the contract, right? I actually like Jim White, to be honest with you. Of the guys on the show, I actually like Jim White. Your thoughts, Joe, on Jim White?
Oh, he's the voice of reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's totally objective.
Yeah.
He's totally objective.
Here we go.
Cameron, a contract that was for 12.
This was in February.
And
we dealt with this.
What the hell was that? I don't know what happened there. Oh, here we go. They must have had some kind of a commercial break. Here we go.
And then the carry-on has just been, look, we gave an opportunity for them,
right?
And they took that opportunity, and they took that opportunity into the media. They knew what it was, and here we are.
I mean, one of the things that Frank said on Tuesday, whenever it was he would have just wiped his mouth with it and gone with it. When you hear him say that wipe his mouth and get on, which means that you didn't want to wipe your mouth and get on with it, that you were dragging it out. What's your reaction to that? What was it? Did you wipe your mouth and get on with it? Did you do what they wanted to do?
That's what I can't understand. They asked for something, and we said yes. We did what they asked. It should have been done. We met a deadline that they gave us. It should have been done.
Right.
That was it.
So you feel they prolonged the controversy?
And then suddenly, a week later, things changed, goalposts changed, media comes in, and they knew what they were doing. So when I hear wipe your mouth, that's what we did immediately. Right. And it should have been dealt with.
You know, this reminds me of, Joe, when President Trump told Zelensky that he has no cards. I mean, Ben Shalom really didn't have many cards in this situation. He had no cards to play whatsoever at all.
Nothing. Just
Right?
just admit we made a mistake. We're sorry, and we want to we want to make it right. Just make it right. It's just saying, hey, we made a mistake. I'm sorry. I understand why they're angry about it. And that's it.
Yeah. So look, we have a fight today. It's a 10-round fight, not a 12-round fight. I don't think any real title is at stake. Let's talk through the fight now. Let's talk the X's and O's. How do you see this fight playing out, Joe?
The big strength with Whittaker was not only his athleticism, his speed, his quickness, explosiveness, but a big component of his style was his power. And there was nothing he threw on Cameron that seemed to trouble him at all. And a lot of the shots, they seemed to for me to be unconsequential shots. He was just throwing shots and a lot of flashy stuff, but it was being caught on the arms, the forearms, and the gloves and all that. So the problem is Cameron's going to keep coming forward. That's going to be his game. Press, 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 press. Get in his chest. Make it a little bit rough on the inside. I'm going to outwork him, and he did outwork him. And he threw some right hands that forced Whittaker to have to grab and hold and reset. So there's a reason why they didn't want it 12, because they know as the fight wears on, we have to try to steal as many rounds early as we can, so we have enough in the bank where we could lose a few of the later ones, right? He's gonna have to figure out a way to stop this momentum from Cameron. He's gonna have to get his respect, stop him in his tracks, discourage him from coming forward and being as aggressive as he was in the first fight. And quite frankly, I'm not so sure he can do that. I saw nothing in the first fight to suggest to me that he could stop that onslaught from Cameron. So,
I agree with you, Joe.
That's going to be a problem.
And what I'm going to add in here is that unlike the guy that we see here, Willings, in this highlight package put together by NBC Sports, who, by the way, televises Sky events here in the United States, Cameron was able to deal with Ben Whittaker's power. Cameron has an unorthodox style himself and wasn't allowing himself to be showboated on. Like, what is he doing there? Like, skipping back to the corner. Like, this stuff wasn't working against Liam Cameron. And Liam Cameron, unlike these guys that he was fighting previously, actually is heavy-handed and was able to hurt him, especially to the body. Go for it, Joe.
The big thing is when you do things in the ring without purpose, it's a double-edged sword. Because number one, you're wasting energy, right? But number two, you're opening yourself up. Like, you make one mistake because you're just doing something just for the sake of doing it, and you don't have a there's not a long-term goal here. Like, if you're in a fight and you're throwing a lazy jab because you want a guy to get used to that rhythm, and then you plan on switching up the way you throw the jab later in the fight, then there's a method to the madness there. You know what I'm saying? When you keep throwing a particular feint over and over again just to get a guy, catch him on the hook a little bit, but then you stop throwing that feint and maybe you do a level change instead. You're basically getting someone comfortable. And Klitschko did this beautifully. A lot of people would criticize Vladimir being a boring style, but one thing I noticed about him, he would lull you to sleep with that jab. A lot of times he would just go like this with it, you good this with it, and then every now and then he would pop a hard one in there. So it's almost like being a snake charmer. So but there's no method there's no method here. This just looks like
a bad sparring session to me.
This looks like you're fooling around with a friend, as you said. When you go in the ring with somebody, you're doing like, it's almost like a slap boxing match. Like, I'm just playing. And for me, and I can only speak for myself, being a purist, I just turns me off. I can't take that serious. And it bothers me even more when you're doing it against someone who's several levels below you. It's almost, in my opinion, like a cat playing with a mouse that's already been wounded. It's cruel.
But here's the thing. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but then I agree, but then I also kind of disagree. Because when you're going the distance against an area level guy in England, right? What level are you actually at?
The same.
I mean, you went the distance with an area level guy in England. And for the people out there that are like, Benn's on the level of a David Benavidez, who's, by the way, is the same age as him, or David Morrell Jr., who, by the way, is the same age as him. Watch this fight. Watch this fight against Willings and ask yourself this. What would David Morrell Jr. or David Benavidez do to this guy Willings? Lil Penny, your thoughts?
Knockout.
Right?
Yeah. You know,
this fight went the full distance, 8 rounds. Area level guy in the UK, meaning he's not English level, he's not British level, he's not Commonwealth level, he's definitely not European or world level. He's below all of those levels. He's fighting for area level championships in the UK. Go for it, Joe.
And full disclosure, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'll only speak for myself. I was very critical of Benn Whittaker even before the Cameron fight.
Same. And you know what I was being called? A hater.
Yeah. That word's lost its value. It's lost its meaning.
Look at what this fight went the distance. For God's sakes.
Yeah.
Go. Sorry, I interrupted, Joe. When I said I was called a hater. Go. You're making a point.
And the whole Prince Nassim Hamed comparison,
which, by the way, he invited because he wore the leopard shorts and came out like Prince Nassim Hamed. Remember, he invited that.
This is like a cheap carbon copy of Prince Nassim Hamed because Prince Nassim Hamed was very authentic. He was very natural. Nothing he did looked forced. And what he did against lower level opponents, I would even argue he didn't clown around as much with lower level opponents. He did it more. He tried to do it more with the top level guys.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah, he did.
So I don't know. This is
I don't know. For me, with Prince Nazim, it seemed like innate. It seemed organic. It seemed like
that's what I'm saying.
This is who he is. And with Benn Whittaker, it seems manufactured. It seems fake. It seems like
it's like a script.
It's somebody playing a role rather than that's who he actually is.
Yeah,
you listen to the current current version of Prince Nazim Ahmed. Many pounds, I would even say stones higher than where he was when he fought, right? Clearly much older. He still has the swag every time he's speaking. Have you heard him giving these interviews?
Yeah.
He still has it. It's still there. It was natural to him. It was who he was. It's who he is. Lil Penny, I see you wanting to chime in. Go for it.
Yeah, the difference between Benn and Prince Nassim is Prince Nassim had power, man.
Oh yeah.
And he hit
Turn out your lights power.
Down.
Yeah.
You go down.
Yeah.
Especially, did you see that fight in New York with
with Kevin Kelly?
Kevin Kelly.
With all of the knockdowns.
That was one of the best New York.
That was one of the best fights I saw when I was growing up.
Tom Johnson, that was another fight with Tom Johnson. That was a great fight too.
Yes.
And I believe he fought Wayne McCullough too. These were good fighters. These were all solid fighters.
You know what's his name? Who's the trainer? Who's his trainer that passed away recently? What's his name? Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel Stewart said that in that Barrera fight, had Prince Nassim took that fight seriously and trained for 8 weeks, he would have been a lot better. But he didn't train. He took it he thought Barrera was shot because I think Morales beat him in the first fight, and then Pacquiao beat him also in San Antonio. He didn't really take that fight seriously. He didn't even train really. I'd
love to have seen him rematch him, but he never did.
No, he never did. In fact, he only had one fight after that, then retired.
Yeah, he fought a Spanish guy. He fought I forget the Spanish guy's
Maybe
name.
maybe
but-
he just didn't want it anymore. Maybe he didn't feel like training.
Yeah.
Maybe
He had all the money, man.
he couldn't probably. Maybe he felt as though he just didn't have the heart for it anymore. He couldn't get up to these fights.
He was the first guy that had a brand behind him, which is Adidas, right? And then after that, because a company that's known worldwide, they're not going to put their name behind a boxer because boxing, it's a brutal sport. So it's good on Adidas to do it. In fact, the next time someone did that was Nike with Pacquiao. And since then, no one maybe with Ryan Garcia with Gatorade, but I think Gatorade has I think they got out of their contract with Ryan Garcia. So, but Prince Nassim was the first one that really got like a brand behind him. Even Mike Tyson didn't have Nike wasn't sponsoring Mike Tyson.
The other one that I can remember growing up was Roy Jones Jr. with I think it was Jordan brand.
Yeah, I do remember that. He was wearing his but he didn't have a signature shoe though.
No, I mean a lot. No, I think he had a boxing shoe.
Pacquiao
He had a boxing
actually.
shoe. Yeah, Pacquiao had Nike too.
No, I don't think Roy Jones had a shoe, but they just made him like one of an athlete. Like he would like wear the logo on his shorts and stuff. I think Pacquiao. I think Little Penny's correct. I think Pacquiao was the only one that actually had a shoe. And then he made that statement about the I don't want to get into it, but then they so fucking stupid. They took his contract away.
Mayweather had Reebok for a little bit. Right?
I think Mayweather was trying to get Reebok.
No, he was just wearing their stuff, trying to get it.
He didn't have anything. Mayweather.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was trying. I do remember that he was trying.
He was, but your point is well taken, Penny. The fact is, most boxers don't have like major brand endorsements from athletic apparel.
Like Canelo
companies.
has Under Armour. He has Under Armour. Does Joshua have Under Armour too?
No, and he's got Hugo Boss too.
Speaking of little side note, but Joe, I'm going to send you the video I saw on this later about the whole tariffs and the shoe companies. So basically, I didn't even think about this myself until I saw this video, and it was a great point. The shoes that are being sold for like $200 cost about $10 to manufacture, right?
I'm saying this all along.
But hold up. So the tariff that's paid on those shoes is not based on 200, it's based on 10. So what's actually going to happen now is consumers like me, consumers like you, I assume, are just going to buy directly from China directly and buy our shoes, including shipping for like $30.
Made in China anymore. They're made in Vietnam now, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah. All right. So anyways, that was sorry for that aside. Discussion
good point, though. It was a good point though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna go straight to Temu and Alibaba. Why go to Foot Locker and even Amazon and these companies anymore? Just go straight to China, pay the tariff on the $10 rather than on the $200,
or just go to Amazon.
No, because Amazon includes the markup. That's the point.
Buy made in America only products.
Yeah. Anyways, we digressed over there. So last thing before we go to hour number 2, let us know in the chat. First of all, before you let us know anything, hit the like button. All right. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell to know every time Joe goes live. It is the Holy Weekend this week. Yesterday was Good Friday. Today is it's not really celebrated as much in the English-speaking world of this Saturday, but tomorrow's Easter Sunday, and I believe because Joe and Eric are two very pious religious individuals that your show is being rescheduled tomorrow. Is it not, Joe?
Yeah, it's in my contract that on Easter Sunday I have to do shows during the day. I mean,
right, because Joe has to attend Easter Mass tomorrow.
Well,
tomorrow afternoon. So
I don't do any of that stuff, but I mean, it's part of the contract.
So I usually say 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. out there in the UK time. The reason I'm going through all of this is to let you know Easter Sunday, Joe's show is going live at what time, Joe?
12
p.m. Eastern, which works out to 9 a.m. Pacific time, and I believe 5 p.m. UK time. So new time for you guys out there tomorrow for Ringside Reporter Live with the one and only, my fellow football aficionado, Eric Lorda. Make sure you check it out. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we're going to go to hour number 2 in a moment because hour number 2 is all about a guy who I like a lot. Joe likes him a lot. I don't know how much you like him, Lil Penny. Chris Eubank Jr. He's gone from hated to loved. We're going to talk all about it going into his next fight against Conor Eggtastic Benn. That's hour number 2. Link is in the description box. Link is in the chat. I'm going to drop it again. Hour number 2, Sucker Punch. Come join us over there. Any last words, Joe?
Well, it's going to be Eggtastic over there.
It's going to be Eggtastic. Lil Penny, any last words?
See you on the other side.
All right, see you on the other side. Link is in the description and in the chat. We'll see you there.